Not only is Lisa Lanier joining us, but there's Dave Aiken coming in here.
Hey now.
Coming in hot.
It's an unprecedented, it's an unscripted lawyer-up here. We were, usually have Lisa on Fridays, total other end of the week here.
It's really going to put a crimp in her Washington's birthday plans.
That's true. Boy, what are you going to be able to make time for Washington's birthday here today, Lisa?
I'm going to have to figure something out. It's tough, though. You guys are really putting me in a jam.
Here we go.
They should, on Washington's birthday, maybe the United States should take a page from our old former bosses over there in England, have everybody wear powdered wigs.
Yeah, do something a little
in court.
Really, yeah.
Biggie owns one.
Yeah, I know he does.
Wig.
Yeah,
that's right.
We used to really do President's Week upright, Lisa. And at one point toward the end, we'd give factoids all week on all the presidents, not just Lincoln and Washington. And at one point, we took it to another level, and we had photos done where we were impersonating different presidents. And it really came to a crashing halt when I made Biggie get into a drug-infested creek bed. Because who were you doing? JQA.
Yeah. He used to take a dive in the Potomac.
John Quincy Adams. So we didn't have the Potomac, but we had an empty creek bed with syringes and glass, and I made Biggie get down there in his
It was a block from the hospital.
It was. He was fine. He diva'd up, and that was it.
This was back before we had HR.
Yeah, but
HR.
He could yell at me and call me names and things. Yeah.
She actually Biggie down from the creek beds. I'm calling Lisa. I'm calling Lisa about this. Now this story, the reason we're having you on at this special time is because on Friday, after you had already been on with us, we discussed a story of a guy named Sean Mackey. He was from Mississippi, and he was suing a woman named Pamela Fowler because he went to her Airbnb. Now, she rents out an Airbnb, and he goes in September of 2022, and he says he's having a weekend away with 4 guests, with old friends, and that's all there was to it. But she had a lot of rules on there, like nobody from
the local area is allowed.
Nobody from Memphis.
Nobody from Memphis could go, which was a weird rule. But he goes, and it winds up, he breaks some rules in the house, and she kicks him out of the house.
She heard there was a loud party.
He had a party, and so she kicked him out of the house. Because of this, he puts a bad review of the Airbnb up online. And the strange part was, then it was taken down, and Airbnb charged him for putting up the bad review. So one angle of this story is, well, why even have a spot to do reviews if a bad one goes up, you're going to be forced to take it down at your own expense, which I didn't like that. But the next piece of it was even stranger. The woman who owns the Airbnb says, I have on video, I have still photographs of you going into my home with a woman who's not your wife at 3 o'clock in the morning while you rented the Airbnb. And she wound up showing those photos to the wife. And now they're no longer together. And he is suing the Airbnb. And I do think she went way above and beyond here. But has he got a lawsuit against her for any of these things, Lisa? What do you think in breaking down this story?
Yeah, both the host and the guest here were just over the top with all this crazy behavior. I mean, the guest clearly broke a bunch of her rules. She charges, the first 4 people are $500 a night, and then each additional person up to a max number. I think it was 12. It's some additional amount. And he had a party. There's no parties at the house. He had all these extra guests, and there's a whole exchange via text or email where he says, "I'm going to have some extra guests," and she says, "Okay, but you're going to have to pay." Mm-hmm. And she was being accommodating, but she was saying, "Look, you're going to have to pay for these people." Then he refused to give their names or pay for them. And for her insurance to kick in, she has to have the names of the guests. And so it was just this whole thing. He is also an Airbnb host back in his home in Mississippi. And so he knows about all this. And then the crazy thing is, she says in there, "I have surveillance video outside." So he and this other woman that he's apparently, getting intimate with, that his wife doesn't know about, they go out, come into the front door together, like in a I think it looks like he's holding her hand or something. I posted a picture of it. It's the doorbell camera. I mean, he could so easily have avoided that. Yeah. Being pictured, coming in with her. The whole thing was just crazy. But where she took it too far, was that she sort of used like extortion type language, because she said, you need to go ahead and pay up all these fines or whatever, or I'm going to send these pictures to your wife.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is he had requested a copy of her videos and photographs. And so there's just this whole crazy back and forth. But there are some laws in Mississippi and in Tennessee, because you got two different states' law at play here, that can be implicated, one of which is publication of private information. Because, even though outside you don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy, so you can be photographed, you can be videoed. But here, where she essentially extorted and then gave his private information out, she actually even threatened to put it on YouTube. I think she went a little bit too far.
Uh-huh.
But so I think you've kind of got each of them are partly in the right. He owes her these fines that she clearly had in their contract, but then she's probably going to owe him something for publishing his private information.
Okay. I missed that. I missed it. I thought that wouldn't be, I thought it would be okay because all she's doing is telling on him, for cheating on his wife.
like telling on.
I'm a teller on her. I'm a tattle.
And I'll tell you, you know what this man has? Audacity.
This is audacity.
Yeah.
Especially when Lisa mentioned that he is an Airbnb host, so he knows the rules.
Yeah.
He flaunted it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, like an idiot, knows there's camera and brought this woman around.
Yeah, it's true.
Audacity.
It's true. But Lisa, how can it? Another part of it though, when he puts a bad review up and Airbnb takes it down, they charge him for the processing of taking it down.
Apparently, they have some new thing to protect their hosts that they get to judge whether you're in the right to post a bad review. And so they went through that process with him and figured out that he was the one in the wrong.
Oh, okay.
And so that's fine.
Interesting.
But they don't just take them all down. I mean, if you've had a bad host and you post legit stuff, then it's going to get to stay out.
Okay. Very interesting. By the way, I read a totally separate article that in 1 in 10 vacation rentals that you go to, 1 in 10%, you are being filmed with hidden spy cameras. So be very careful. Those cameras have gotten so small now, they'll put them in vents or bathrooms, or wherever where you can't see them, and that you are being filmed. Does that surprise you at all, Lisa, that the number's that high?
No, not really. I mean, it's so easy to have cameras now. The wireless cameras are everywhere. I mean, and it's, if they're doing it in a room like a bedroom or a bathroom where you have an expectation of privacy, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they can do it in common areas. They can do it outside.
Yeah.
Do we know, and Lisa, I don't even know what the answer to this is. Can hotels do any of this, or hotels have a different set of laws?
Hotels have cameras in common areas, but not inside the rooms, because the idea is that inside a hotel room, it is essentially, it's the bedroom, it's the bathroom, all in one. You have a reasonable expectation of privacy there.
Yeah.
But you can just about guarantee that even cheap hotels are going to have cameras everywhere in the hallways and elevators.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I read, now in this article, it says way lower amount, but if you stay, for instance, in a hotel room or an Airbnb, you could put your own camera as a guest in there and then leave it and upload it to your own laptop later, if you're looking to be a voyeur. Is that right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, people do. They put cameras in hidden places. You've seen it. I think like Starbucks. There was a guy that was he was going in the bathrooms in Starbucks and putting cameras. There's people that put them in hotel rooms, and and they're tiny, and so a lot of times they'll end up being able to get away with it for quite some time.
That's your favorite word, Kelly. That's your magic word.
Voyeur.
Yeah, but you got to file through. You got to
That's the one
file
French
through.
word he can spell without fail.
You know how many fat, hairy businessmen you have to look at to get to?
Oh, yeah.
If you put one of those cameras in there.
I always wonder the amount of times I've been on hidden camera and the perv's just like, oh, God.
Fast
Another
forward,
day.
fast
Oh my
forward,
God,
fast forward.
He's here for the whole week.
He's still there. Fast forward, fast forward.
Sneak into the room and remove the camera.
Like he takes the weekend off because I'm in the hotel.
Get rid of it.
Let's see what little cutie's checking in. Oh, God.
You're right.
Kelly, for somebody that bought the LSAT book for the law exam, I'm surprised you didn't pick up on that extortion.
Missed it twice. Absolutely. Missed it on
right in
Friday.
front of you.
Missed it today. It was right there. And you're exactly right. Well,
You bought the book.
it was my weakest part of the whole book.
Problem is you didn't read the
I
book.
didn't read the book well enough. That's right. I read the part on voyeurs. I didn't read the part.
Well, yeah, your eyes goes right there.
Right to voyeur. Chapter 6, voyeur. That's all I read. But here's a great case, too. As long as Lisa was on for this, well, let's throw in a couple of more here. A couple more cases today for Lisa Lanier. Massachusetts couple now is facing the threat of eviction They're in Cape Cod. The guy's name is George Friggin, and he lives in a mobile home park, and his wife, unfortunately, has brain cancer, and it's very bad. And so she has to go for chemotherapy quite a bit. Had a long hospital stay. During the hospital stay, he said, she needs a wheelchair, so I have to build a ramp onto the mobile home and to get her in and out of the place. So the rule is that if you're going to make any kind of changes structurally to the mobile home, you have to ask the landlord. And so he told his contractor, make sure that the landlord knows what we're doing. Well, now the landlord, after the ramp has been installed.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, this guy's the devil. He's terrible.
It's terrible. Well, a few comments. First from the guy who built the ramp. This is the husband.
If I didn't have the ramp, I would have to call the rescue squad, which I've had to do already because I took her out and she fell getting in the car.
And then he says that now they're trying to evict me.
This guy's trying to evict me because my wife's sick. It's crazy.
And the thing was, too, that he said, I cleared it with the contractor, and they kept calling this guy, the landlord, just to see, he's like, we have to build this ramp. And they gave him like 2 weeks. And the guy said he never got back to me.
And he says, all right, well, just draw a little picture and send it to me. 2 weeks went by. Still hadn't heard from him.
So he was coming home with the wife. The husband was coming home with the wife who has cancer, is now in a wheelchair. And so the contractor said, well, we have to build it. So they said, okay, go ahead and build it. But the landlord never said yes to it. And now he's trying to evict him. And so the reporter went to the landlord's office and said, would you like to explain yourself?
We went to his office to find out.
We're with 5 investigators. Are you Phil? Are you Philip Austin? Are you trying to evict a woman that's dying of cancer?
Ooh.
You don't want to answer that?
He slammed the door in her face.
Oh, that's an Emmy award right there.
I know. She let it hang to her. Are you trying to evict a woman?
You ripped into him, yeah.
This guy, Phil, has been described by our attorney as the devil himself. So he's in the wrong, even though he's got the paperwork saying you have to get my okay to build this structure. Right, Lisa?
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Yes, he's terrible. So, and this poor lady, she has a glioblastoma. I mean, she's probably going to live max 6 months. And it's terrible. It's going to be a terrible existence for the next 6 months. And literally, this poor guy has to call EMS every time he takes her to chemo if he doesn't have the ramp. Mm-hmm. So he followed the rules. He has proof that he tried to get it approved personally. Then he turned it over to the contractor. The contractor, never got a response. So, it's an exigent situation. They went ahead and built it. And now this guy is going to evict them. They own the home. It's not like they're trying to attach something to his property. They own the mobile home. They just lease the land from him. Mm-hmm. And so he, ultimately, if it ends up going to court, and there's been a pro bono lawyer who stepped forward to represent the couple for free. And so if it does come, where this is going on in Massachusetts, they have their own version of the ADA, which is the Massachusetts Persons with Disabilities Act. And it recognizes that mobile home parks have to allow people who rent a spot to make reasonable accommodations as necessary for handicapped vehicles, for ramps, and for service animals. So he's going to lose.
Good. This guy should. You should see how sleazy he looks too, like putting his hand up as they try to come in. And boy, that reporter too. She's like, "You're trying to kick out a woman.
A woman who's dying of cancer."
Lucky for Phil, it wasn't in public.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's not like he hasn't paid his rent. I mean, he's paid up. It's just crazy.
It's awful.
Why stick to your guns? Why not just let him build the ramp and
I know,
and then talk to the media and say I made a mistake?
Yeah, it's so. I mean, you're gonna.
It's a trailer.
What was he trying to do? Is he trying to get him kicked out so he could rent it to somebody else at a higher rate? Probably so.
Well, there's something about he's trying to the people that own it. I don't know if this property manager is the same as the owner, but he's trying to sell it to some big company, and they think that has something to do with it. That maybe they're not a fan or something, or that it'll hurt the sale or something. That's what they think.
This may go almost unremarked, but I noticed it. A rare glimpse inside the mind of Chris Kelly, landlord.
Yep, got those wheels turning, did it, Kels?
Kick out the dying lady, charge the next people more.
Yeah.
Next.
Right. How's your property zone down there, Kelly?
Well, I've got some paperwork. I'm not answering any questions. I'm not answering any questions.
Run up to you on a head of Popeyes. Are you Chris? No. It's been shown in commercials.
I've got a little property down.
You've been described as Satan himself. Any comment?
I don't have any comment. that. I have no comment. Oh, my.